So we all love technology, right? I mean, after all, it's the only way that I'm able to make this video and that you're able to watch it. Many jobs nowadays are conducted exclusively through technology. Social media has replaced all human interactions, and paper forms, including books and newspapers, are now all accessible through tech. But the one thing that historically has never been impacted by technology is sports. I mean, even exercising in general. You can run or bike for 10 miles while technically not moving at all. But the very nature of sports is human interaction. You lace up your cleats or high-top sneakers and try to kick, bounce, or catch a ball while someone else is trying to physically restrict you from reaching the goal. And in many cases, even when it's raining, snowing, or muddy, the show must go on. So for many of us who stare at a laptop screen or our phones all day to make a living, is it possible that some of the satisfaction in sports is seeing good old physical confrontation independent of technology? Well...
The secondary we talked about. Passes out. The ball is caught. Then it's fumbled.
After reviewing the play, it's an incomplete pass.
To the penalty area. Emerson Kane! It's offside.
Send Arenado. Throw to the play. Out at the plate. Safe at the plate.
Yes, that is right. Even sports nowadays are heavily dependent on technology. After every major play, referees have the ability to review it to see if there were any violations. For example, if you watch a football match today, you have to wait for the video assistant referee to make sure there was no offsides after a goal. The amount of times I and many other fans have celebrated a goal only for it to be disallowed 2.5 minutes after it was awarded is absurd. And sometimes these offside calls are so minuscule. VAR comes in and brings a professional geometer and shows that the front part of a player's kneecap was 1/2 inch in front of the last defender's shoulder. For many fans, they think that VAR is ridiculous, that it has ruined football and made a thing that was purely about humans and a ball a digital phenomenon. So should we just disband it altogether? Go back to referees calling fouls and linesmen calling offsides on the field. Well, let's challenge that by looking at a sport that tries its absolute best not to be technologically interfered. Baseball. In baseball, an umpire stands directly behind the batter and in real time calls balls and strikes. There are a few more umpires on base to determine if a runner is safe or out. Yes, there is now instant review in baseball, but that is only used when a manager challenges the ruling on the field and they only get 1 per game. And because baseball is the ultimate gentleman's game, you are not allowed to challenge balls or strikes if you are a hitter or a pitcher for fear of ejection. So for the most part, the sport has stuck with this human element, and whatever these rigorously trained umpires see on the field is what is called. But what happens when the calls on the field are just wrong? I mean, how often does that happen?
Been 3 weeks with nothing to do, couldn't play yet for the Rockies. Oh, I think Helton was off the bag at first, but he gets the benefit of the call.
Wait a minute, he wasn't even close to being on the bag.
Helton was a good foot off the bag, and he still gets the out call.
Did he just kick him out? He threw behind Utley. Did they just kick Syndergaard out?
Ground ball. Alvarez coming home, and it's not in time. He's called safe, and the Braves win the game. Scott fell down. Oh my goodness. He never got to the plate.
So humans are wrong sometimes. Who could have guessed that? I mean, check out the final pitch in the NLDS in 2021. Max Scherzer throws a breaking ball to Wilmer Flores and the first base umpire calls him out on a swing and miss. Even though you can clearly see that Wilmer Flores checks his swing. But whatever the umpire says goes, and the Dodgers won the series on a very bogus call. So technology here would have been a good thing, right? Well, just this past summer, MLB Commissioner Rob Manfred has said that robot umpires will be introduced to the major leagues as early as 2024. And in 2023, all 30 AAA ballparks will use robot umpires as a sort of trial experiment for the major leagues. And this has divided all baseball fans. Some people love this as it will stop their teams from losing on completely nonsensical calls, while other people believe that it will change the way that they grew up watching America's pastime. So to help the MLB make this decision, let's look at a sport that has dipped its toes into the technology pool but hasn't completely dived into the deep end. That is basketball. For years, with the exception of buzzer beaters, the NBA didn't really review calls on the court. Whatever foul was called or not called was entirely dependent on the referee in real time.
Oh, that's a foul! Brutal!
But in the summer of 2019, the NBA introduced the Coach's Challenge. Once per game, coaches can challenge whether a foul was actually a foul, whether a shot was actually goaltending, or that the other team hit the ball out of bounds and not your own. You get one challenge per game, regardless if it was successful or not. Many people are in huge favor of this. It corrects the officials and reduces the amount of missed calls per game. However, you can only challenge that a play was not a foul or that it was a foul on another player. You cannot challenge that an uncalled play was a foul. And if you watch the Lakers vs Celtics game on Saturday, you would see crystal clear how this challenge system falls short. The game is tied at 105, and LeBron drives into the lane and clearly gets hit by Jason Tatum on the arm. The referee is right under the basket, however, does not call it, and the game goes into overtime where the Celtics would win the game. I mean, LeBron clearly traveled, but if you watch the NBA, you know they don't be calling that. But it was also a play that was uncalled on the court, which means you cannot challenge that it was a foul. The NBA solely relies on the referees when a foul is not called, and that is that. So what does it look like when a sport is fully immersed in technology through and through? Well, look no further than the NFL. American football is by far the most technologically dependent of all the major sports, except for esports, which will likely take over the world soon. Be prepared. Every coach and coordinator has a headset on the entire game and communicates with their green dot player through a speaker and microphone inside of their helmet. Every single touchdown and turnover is instantly reviewed by the referees. Every coach is given 2 challenges per game and a third one if both challenges are successful. And above all, NFL games are watched by experts from dozens of angles at the league's official headquarters in New York. And they can communicate with referees on the field to stop the next play. If, for instance, a ball was not caught or a runner didn't actually make the line to gain. So the NFL has done its best to eliminate human errors and make the right calls on the field. Of course, fans still hate the referees and call them biased all the time. I don't believe that will ever change no matter what. But of course, even this review system is not perfect. For example, during a Sunday Night Football game in 2020, Patrick Mahomes throws this ball to Tyreek Hill, which was unfortunately incomplete. Except it wasn't incomplete. This was, in fact, a catch. But Tyreek Hill doesn't even really challenge this. Even he probably thought the ball hit the ground. But if he had just waved his arms up in the air, this play likely would have been reviewed and overturned as a touchdown. Or at the very least, Andy Reid could have challenged this ruling on the field. But regardless, this is a miss by the NFL's expedited review. And a more recent example is last Sunday when Devontae Smith made this unbelievable catch on 4th and 3. Except he didn't make the catch. And he was smart. He signaled to his team to snap the next play as quickly as they could so the call could not be overturned. But those doing expedited review in New York had this angle before all of us did on TV after the subsequent touchdown. And they could have told the referees very quickly to stop the next play. Make sure to double check to see if Devontae Smith actually secured it. And it would have been a turnover on downs. But of course, this technology is controlled by people, and sometimes people fail. And whenever people do fail, the NFL gives the coaches 2 challenges to change the ruling on the field. And if those are not used, that call is more on the coach than it is on the referees or the review center. So I repeat, humans do in fact fail, and video review is meant to lessen these human mistakes from happening. I do get angry sometimes when a spectacular goal is disallowed or a remarkable catch is ruled as incomplete. But one of the things I can't do with video review is argue with the eventual ruling. That player was offsides, the pass was incomplete, and professionally trained people reviewed this multiple times to make sure that was correct. Yes, this does take away from that human aspect that is rooted in every sport's history. But referees shouldn't be allowed to take the game over by missing calls or making the wrong ones. So to make sure that games are decided by what is correct on the field of play, technology is here to stay.